Mithun, let's talk about the D2C business, and so much has changed. We've seen an explosion of D2C businesses across different categories, creating new categories in many ways as well. We've seen a plethora of acquisitions by FMCG companies within the D2C space. Yours, of course, is the big one. How have you seen the D2C space change, and what would your message really be to somebody who has started a brand, who started a D2C business today in this environment?
Let me break your question into two parts. The first part is about the D2C founders and how they should think about it. Look, for marketing, really up to, I think up to like 5 lakh customers, you really don't even need to go anywhere other than digital. People need to understand that the channel is deep enough to get awareness and to be able to drive every kind of recognition you want for your brand over there. So going on television, going on newspapers adds no value. If you're not delivering on digital, it's only because the ad is not related. I mean, the consumers are not relating to what you're doing. So I think that realization is very important, and enough people are nowadays figuring that out. What they oftentimes don't figure out is what is the tactile need of the category and what is the tactile need of the business? How big is the distribution on the offline side going to be? And don't think digital means digital is where you attract people. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is going to consume over there. Take globally, at Amazon's at 7%, if I'm not mistaken, in America, in terms of the categories they play, they're at about 7% market share. Tipping point, the book describes at 14% where the world adopts to something completely. So even there, it's not happened. So to think of that in India and say, this is the only way I'm going to do it, I think it's a bad idea. Now, coming to the strategics, the challenge in strategic relationships is that most strategics don't build a partnership the way Titan built with us. You have to think that somebody here is building and bringing something else. And I feel that, I'm going to borrow C.K. Prahlad's famous line where he speaks about saying that don't focus on best practices, also focus on next practices. And it's, to me, strategics bring you best practices, and the entrepreneur is the X factor that brings you the next practice in that. And the combination of this, if led to come out, if it comes out in full flow, there's something else there's magic that happens at the end of it. If Titan told me, 2 years later, if you perform this much, you're going to get this exit and this multiple on that, I don't think we would have been where we are today, both with the business and with the outcome as well. But they said, let's go with it. We are partners. Not for one day did they make me feel that they are not a part of this journey, or we are not 100% owned subsidiary of this. That openness, strategics don't have it most times. If they change their mind to doing something like this, I think the entrepreneur, D2C entrepreneur plus strategic journey is going to explode, and you'll build some incredible businesses in India.
As a founder, as someone who's built this company out, who's someone who learned to engage with a strategic and learned to sort of create this partnership, as an entrepreneur, what have been the biggest lessons? I mean, you talked about, the change in approach as far as strategy was concerned. But as an entrepreneur and as a founder, dealing with the strategic, what did you have to change about yourself, about your leadership style, about your leadership mantra as you went about that?
A few things, Shereen. We took a deep, we took a deep breath, and we sort of went underwater almost for 5 years, right? Because strategics don't like you to be that visible. And so that's very important. You must reflect on that and sort of act in that manner as well also. Personalities clash, and that's something you have to manage first. Second, they add a lot of value. You must have a lot of respect for that value that they bring in. In our case, the balance sheet was a lot of value. And I remember, when we were looking for trust to build our brand building, Bhaskar gave us this line where he said, like, Tata is the gold standard of trust, but Tanishq is the gold standard of trust in jewelry. And so we got that tagline from there and sort of built that. So that wisdom is very important. They might not be 1/4 as savvy as we were digital, but consumer-wise, a lot of them are significantly far ahead of what we do. And I think those are very important lessons to take away. Second, don't do anything that conflicts with their interest. At most times, you have to avoid that and talk about conflicts very early. Don't let it become a big problem and then deal with it. For CaratLane and Tanishq, there are natural conflicts in some areas as well. But we've spoken about it all the time, and there are 1 or 2 we don't solve, but then we sort of leave that, because at least as long as you can solve 8 out of 10, you're fine with it. And for a strategic, as long as, as long as you're demonstrating enough confidence in what you're doing, and as long as you're growing, I don't think a strategic wants to come in and own you at that point, because they're getting a free ride and there's no reason why they're going to change that part. But founders need to understand that as well also, that you earn the free ride. It doesn't come any other way.
Mithun, what next now? Where do you go from here? I know you said that you want to take a little bit of a pause before you decide on the next chapter, but, initial thoughts on what you would like to dabble with? What would you like to do?
Well, most of last year, we were thinking about, investing is the way, because I've really enjoyed doing that all throughout. Early stage investing is something we did a lot of. So that's something definitely on the cards. But I do feel I have a reasonably good understanding of Omni. And I think that knowledge can be compounded by looking at businesses where we can come in and sort of help them with our understanding. And hopefully, if they're interested, then work together and sort of partner with them. It's just this all has to sink in. Need a couple of maybe a month or two to spend time at home. 15 years as a founder is a long time, and you sort of neglect a lot around your family. They face the brunt of this, so we've got to deal with all that right now.
Yes, I would imagine, and it's a well-deserved break as well, Mithun. But what kind of a war chest are we talking about that you intend to deploy, that you intend to leverage, and what looks exciting to you? As I pointed out, in the D2C space, beauty, personal care, health, wellness, nutrition, jewelry, of course, which I don't believe that you're going to go down that road again. But what looks exciting to you today?
Well, today, frankly, beauty and personal care is great, but I don't understand it very well. I'm trying to understand it. I see a lot of action in this space. And it's like the stock market, right? When you see consensus somewhere, that's what you stay away from. And so I feel that about BPC right now. But I find new categories, new players in consumer happening everywhere. I love Bombay Shirt Company. It's a great business. I don't know whether he'll ever allow me to work with him. But those kind of businesses, I love the luggage space. I think Indians are traveling a lot more now, and I would love to see some action over there. I want to find these categories which are difficult to do, and then the opportunity plays out, because the beauty of a war chest of your own is that it's patient capital. A lot of other people are not going to do that. And India solves for its own problems, and I strongly believe that. So we don't have to look at the West and try and figure out what model worked there and do the same thing over here. We got to solve for the changing behavior of India and look for opportunities in that.
But Mithun, finally, before I let you go, as you said that in many ways it can be a lonely journey as a founder and a CEO as you build out a business, and very often it is the personal side that bears the brunt of building out. What's been the mechanism of coping with that? And I get asked this question very often about finding balance between personal and professional, and I don't know if you can, but what's been your mantra?
I actually think there's no such thing as work-life balance for founders. I think there's work-life integration. And so my co-founder, when he comes to Chennai, he lives at home with me. My friends are a part of it. I love to work with each other. I love having dinners where they are also a part of it. So for me, integration is the best way that it's worked, and I've enjoyed that thoroughly. I've never felt tired at a day of work, and I think my family's been able to adjust to it because of the integration. I don't see any other way I would have survived that. When I used to do it all by myself and compartmentalize things, I would make a mess of it, and I'd make a mess of my mental health as well also. But once I moved away from that and started doing this, and I think I learned that really from the strategic investment as well, because you start seeing how people are with their lives and how they manage things as well. There's a lot of wisdom over there, and we think we are smart, but really they do it a lot better.
Well, you've done well for yourself, Mithun. Once again, congratulations. And I have to say, I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. And it was great having you on Young Turks way back in 2012. And it's great to have you back here as you talk about one of India's largest exits in the D2C space. We wish you the very best of luck. And I hope that when you're ready to talk about it, you will do so here on the program. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Young Turks. From all of us here on the team, for now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.